IBC, it's Rob here with another video, and this is a thread response to David Newton. Interesting video I watched the other day, talking about the opening tracks on albums. We've all, I mean, that sort of magic's gone a little bit. I can remember buying albums and that I didn't really know that much about and putting them on, and the first track is usually one of the strongest, usually a single, and that's borne out in some of my choices in my 20. So I've seen some good videos. Mazzy did a really good one, and Richard McCook, so I thought I'd jump in and join the royalty. So first choice is Alabama Shakes from the album Boys and Girls, and the track is called Hold On. Brittany Howard got a new album out. I've been listening to it, streaming it, and I think I'll be picking it up before the end of the year, and I think it'll be quite high up in my favourite albums of the year. Brittany Howard, really unique kind of vocalist. Alabama Shakes, really good band. This album's from 2012, and it's award winning, and it's a classic, but it doesn't get any better than Hold On, the opening track. So yeah, Alabama Shakes and Hold On. Now, like I said, a lot of albums you buy, the first track is a single, sort of to entice you in, and XTC, they're on every video I do. I remember buying this album I think I bought it in '79, just after Making Plans for Nigel had been in the charts. Saved up my pocket money and bought this album. Doesn't disappoint, great album, but does it get any better than Making Plans for Nigel? XTC, is that their best ever song? Very early in their catalogue. It's an interesting sort of question to ask yourself. I think Making Plans for Nigel could be XTC's best song. But yeah, great album and a great opening track, Making Plans for Nigel by XTC. Now, one of my favourite album from 2014 is Lost in the Dream by The War on Drugs. So this is a real slow burner, great album. If you look at any list of the best albums of the last 10 years, I can guarantee this will be in the top 10. It's got a little bit of Neil Young in it, a little bit of Bruce Springsteen in it, but it's a real grower. It is a fantastic album. So yeah, from 2014, and the track I'm choosing is the first track, Under the Pressure. If you don't know that track, go and check it out, because it's a real moody track, and it just sucks you into the rest of the album. So yeah, Lost in the Dream by The War on Drugs. Now, what's coming up next? Can't remember what order I've put them in. Oh yeah, now 1981's probably the biggest selling album is this one. It's Dare. So there's so many copies of this album floating around, and that's because everybody had a copy of it, and everybody, well, not everybody, but most people really rate this album. I still rate it now, listening to it back. And the opening track, These Are the Things That Dreams Are Made Of, is a great opening track. It's full of singles, it's full of, I don't know if you can describe them as deep cuts, but Seconds and Darkness are great tracks. And this is one of the best albums of the 80s, and it's still a good album. So yeah, The Things That Dreams Are Made Of by The Human League. Now, picking them up blind, I put them in some kind of order. Now, is this Manchester's best ever band? I'm not too sure. The Stone Roses, great opening track, I Want to Be Adored. So, coming from very close to Manchester, got very close affinity to Manchester music. I think we are the best in the world. Any other city, name the artists, I'm sure Manchester could come on top. For a relatively small city, it's produced so many great bands, and the Stone Roses are right up there. So yeah, I Want to Be Adored is a great opening track from a fantastic debut album. So yeah, Stone Roses and I Want to Be Adored. Now what's next? Oh yeah, this is a great opening track from a band called Midlake, and this album is called The Trials of Van Occupantha, and this album came out in 2006. Don't have much by Midlake on vinyl, a few CDs, sort of country, like rock, indie, a bit of everything really, a bit of Americana sound to them. This is a great album, and it opens with a beautiful track called Roscoe. Just a great opening track, one of my favourite tracks from sort of the last 20 years. So yeah, Midlake, and the opening track is called Roscoe. Now, what's next? Oh, now, I spoke about singles being the first track on albums, and Kings of the Wild Frontier by Adam and the Ants. The opening track is Adam and the Ants' best ever song. It's Dog Eat Dog. It's just so full of optimism, and in I think it was 81 when this sort of came out. I remember seeing him on Top of the Pops. You know, I was a mod, but you couldn't help but get a bit excited. I can imagine, you know, people who were maybe 5 years younger than me getting really excited by Adam and the Ants. And for a couple of years, they produced some great music, but it does not get any better than Dog Eat Dog. So yeah, Adam and the Ants and Dog Eat Dog. Now, here's a guy who I've got so much love for this guy. I just love him, and it's Billy Bragg. And the track is Greetings to the New Brunette, and it's from the album Talking with a Taxman, about poetry. Now, Greetings to the New Brunette is, I was listening to it today. It's so funny. I mean, Billy Bragg's very political, but he's such a clever songwriter. He's so underrated. It's unbelievable. I mean, I went to see him. I mean, people say, oh, I don't like his voice, and you know, but maybe it is an acquired taste. But get past the voice and just look at his lyrics. It is poetry. He's an absolute gem. He's such an underrated artist with a real quality back catalogue. So yeah, anything about Billy Bragg I'm into, and Greetings to the New Brunette is one of many great tracks on this album. So yeah, Billy Bragg and Greetings to the New Brunette. Now, this album has got, the first track on this album is one of my favourites of all time, and it's the Future Islands, and this album's called Singles, and this is from, I think it's from 2014. The opening track on this is called Seasons, and if you haven't heard that song, try and find it, put it on, go on YouTube and put Future Islands Seasons, because you'll be listening to it, and if you've never heard it before, by the end of it you just want to play it again. It's such an infectious, top quality pop song. That's all it is, and it is gorgeous. So yeah, Future Islands album Singles, and the track is called Seasons. Ripping through these. Now this is 1977, or was it 76? It's the Sex Pistols, and Never Mind the Bollocks. I told the story about my dad saying if you saw this album, smash it up. Well, my older sister had a copy of it. I didn't have a copy of it. I didn't get it until probably the 90s. But Holidays in the Sun is the opening track, and what a track. It really sets the album off. And it's still a great album, and it's an amazing first track. So yeah, Holidays in the Sun by the Sex Pistols. Now, an American artist who I've got a lot of time for. I like all his albums. I've got most of them on CD. I've only got a few vinyl albums by him, and it's Odelay by Beck, and the opening track on this album is Devil's Haircut. I've heard a few people on the VC. Mazzy's a big lover of Beck, and he's just so talented. I remember seeing him on Top of the Pops. Would have been early 90s, no idea that the guy singing Loser was going to just be so prolific, and so he's so imaginative as well. He never stands still. Just a great artist. So yeah, Devil's Haircut, track 1 by Beck. Now, this album I picked up quite recently, and it's Japanese Breakfast and Soft Sounds from Another Planet. And the opening track on this album is called Diving Woman. And that's sort of how I got introduced. I had like a compilation sort of given to me sort of on Apple Music recommendations, and that track came up, and I'm listening to it, and it just got in my head, made me buy the album, and it's a quality album. Really recommend it. So I think it's from 2017. Again, really critically acclaimed. Diving Woman, the first track on this album by Japanese Breakfast. Now, another band who, well, there's not many bands come from Oldham, which is where I'm from, the Spiral Carpets. Picked this album up this year. It's not an easy one to find. Devil Hopping from, I think it's from '94. And the opening track is I Want You, which is the Spirals with help from Mark E. Smith from The Fall. It's it wakes you up out of your slumber. If you're playing on your phone and that comes on, I'm sure it'll get your attention. It's a great opening track to a really good album by the Spirals. So yeah, I Want You by the Spiral Carpets. Now, thought I'd show this Tasmania by an Australian band called Pond. And Pond are sort of the backing group, if you like, friends of Tame Impala. Kevin Parker, of course, is the man behind Tame Impala. But Pond are sort of his go-to musicians. And they've released a couple of albums, and this one's a real slow burner, and the opening track is called Daisy, and it's on playlists of mine that I sort of compile, and the more I hear that song, the more I love it. So yeah, the album's called Tasmania, and the track is called Daisy. Now, I bought this album this year about 4 months ago. I didn't know anything about this artist. I was researching an artist and her name came up, so I checked her out, and since then this album's a great album. It's called The Hiding, and it's Casey Johansson, and the opening track is called Bow and Arrow. This album came out last year. I'm on Instagram, and I follow Casey on Instagram, and she sent me a couple of responses to little questions I've asked her, and she's very good on Instagram. She's posting stuff all the time. Looks like there's a new album on the way, but this is just such a gorgeous album, full of optimism and full of despair, really. It's a lot of contrast on it, but if you're not aware of this album, again, plenty of platforms to discover new artists, and Casey Johansson, this is a lovely album. So yeah, Bow and Arrow, the opening track on Hiding by Casey Johansson. Now only a couple to go, and this is a band from the Manchester area who I got into in the late 80s, and it's the Bowdowns. So this is the only album by the Bowdowns. Guitar, indie, Manchester sounding. The opening track is called Shaking Queens. It's one of my favourite tracks of all time, and again, I mean, this is a real quality album, but it wasn't a hit single by any means, but it was a single, and again, the first track on the album does tend to sometimes be a single. And Shaking Queens by a band, if you're not aware of the Bowdowns, please check them out. A really great sort of band from the Manchester area who just never had any success whatsoever. So yeah, the Bowdowns and Shaking Queens from the album Played. A couple more to go. And this artist, never seen anyone on the VC talking about Nick Mulvey, and this album is called Wake Up Now, and this the track is called Unconditional, and it's about love. And if you, I mean, most people watching this are in love, or they've been in love and they've had their heart broken, or they've broken someone else's heart. Well, you know, watch out if you listen to that track. Depending on your state of mind, it's a real heartbreaker. Unconditional by Nick Mulvey is an absolutely beautiful song. You know, but it can really get to you. It gets to me sometimes, and it's just an amazing song from a really good album. I mean, Nick Mulvey, this is from 2017. It's kind of folky, a bit Nick Drakey maybe in places. Really worth checking out. A young sort of British guy who's he must have a new album due, because this is from 2017. His debut album, I think, was 2014, and that was really well received as well. So yeah, Unconditional by Nick Mulvey. Now, here's one that I used to play a lot in my youth. Don't play it so much now, but yeah, Selector and 3 Minute Hero. Everyone talks about the specials and the beat, or the English beat, madness, but the specials sort of get left out. But 3 Minute Hero is as good a two-tone song as you're going to hear. So yeah, thought I'd give it a mention, the Selector and 3 Minute Hero. Now, here's I bought a lot of new albums this year, and at the end of the year, I'm thinking of doing maybe my top 20, but it might be a top 30 because there's been that many. But I bought this album about 4 or 5 months ago. It's Divino, Nino, and it's called Foam, this album. I've not seen anyone show it on the VC. They do remind me of the Super Furry Animals, and that is a good thing. The opening track is called Foam, and this is it's just a great album. I remember I listened to this on Apple Music. I listened to about 2 tracks, and by then I'd already ordered it from Amazon. It's that good. So yeah, I really recommend this album. So yeah, Divino, Nino and Foam. And the last one is by these guys. The Happy Mondays. Is that the right way around? Let's have a look. Oh yeah, there's the price. So yeah, Kinky Afro by the Happy Mondays. Again, coming from Manchester area, the Happy Mondays were such a large band at the beginning of the 1990s. Shaun Ryder and Bez, and really good hooks in the songs. A little bit underrated, I think. I'm not, the albums aren't masterpieces. This album is a masterpiece from 1990. You can put this on at any time of the day, and it's going to wipe away the cobwebs. It's a great album. So yeah, and a great opening track, Kinky Afro. So yeah, the Happy Mondays from the album Pills, Thrills and Bellyaches. So those are my 20. I could have chosen a lot more. I just had a quick flick through, and it's quite easy really to find 20. Again, this is a real fun response. Fun thing to do. I've watched a couple of videos and really enjoyed them. I'll be interested to see other people on the VC jumping in on this thread. It's a lot of fun. So once again, thanks Dave for doing this thread. It's always good when people on the VC come up with these great ideas. So that's it from me. Enjoy your Halloween, and enjoy the rest of your week, and bye for now.